I want, you just made a reference to trauma. And I know that you've talked about family trauma and family lineage and how we, as you know, a reincarnating species, carry that trauma throughout generations. And the fact that we're carrying that trauma, having these what we call perhaps karmic wounds, perhaps helps to perpetuate the matrix like aspect of where we are and how this is going down. What would your thoughts be on that, and what would be the antidote to that?
Well, they want to create trigger events constantly to just play into those traumas, those unhealed wounds. That's why people take everything personally, and there's so much more divide and conquer and just a lot of false movements that people attach themselves to because they're addressing, a trauma that they can't quite put their finger on. But if it's being presented, through just a movement or a trigger event, they can, they'll glom onto it and just feel like, okay, this is how I'm tending to that wound, when really it's getting them further enmeshed into an infection and into a takeover. Because really we just have to be transparent. We have to look honestly at these wounds and turn it into wisdom, turn it into like, okay, let's unify. Let's come together and see where we've been mind controlled or pushed into victim consciousness or triggered into this reaction sort of scenario that isn't allowing us to fall back on ourselves a little bit and go through that dark night of the soul and mature ourselves and like rehabilitate, like together, and recognizing our true history and facing the rewritten history and the root of all these world wars and what our galactic history and ancient history, which has been buried